it wasn't about being happy today because I'm not happy today. I'm in agony, but
Mm-hmm.
I still felt connected to source. I
Mm-hmm.
still felt on purpose.
Mm-hmm.
I still actually, in my agony, was aware of this foundation of joy. And I decided I wanted to be that joy. I want to be that love no matter what. And like this was like epiphanic for me. It's like
No, it's powerful.
it's not about the strive.
Yeah.
And that's what a heart-centered life is.
Peace and riches blessings. I am Michael B. Beckwith, the host of Take Back Your Mind. Dynamic blessings to you. Life is good. When I'm speaking about life, I'm not speaking about life experience or your experience of life. Just unadulterated life is magnificent. I welcome you to Take Back Your Mind podcast, where individuals are encouraged through powerful conversations that I have with my friends and my guests to have dominion over your awareness. You have dominion over your awareness, your life changes for the better. Today I have a friend with me, Danielle LaPorte. She's coming out of Canada. I'm going to give you her resume in just a moment. She's a beautiful, beautiful soul with a new book coming out that you should probably read. Right now, we're going to do the life question of the week. Someone wrote in a question. I get the privilege of seeking to answer it. If you have a question about your life or about metaphysics or mysticism or spiritual growth, development, and unfoldment, email podcast@michaelbeckwith.com. First name, where you're from, and hopefully we will get to you. Peace and blessings. Blessings, everyone. And this is our life question of the week for Take Back Your Mind. And always the questions are curated so that the questions are appropriate for everyone. Everyone may be going through what one person articulates. So this is Natasha from Toronto, Canada. And she writes, when world events and external circumstances are impacting you in the here and now, such as rising interest rates that cause you to have a higher mortgage payment and financial worries, or the right partner hasn't shown up in your life for the relationship you know is your dream and destiny, how do you train your mind to not wander into hopeless feelings and thoughts that things are not going to change or get better? I know that I should stay positive, but my mind wanders into trying to figure out how and when things will change. What does one do to keep the mind on track? There's a lot of teaching in this particular question. First of all, we have a mind. We're not our mind. We have one. And you're saying, how do we train it? Now, the mind is a set of programs. It's programs of beliefs, opinions, points of view, interpretation of past experiences. All of that programs your mind. Beliefs that your family has had, societal beliefs that have become contagion and have become emotions, things of that particular nature. So as you practice meditation, you're able to, at some point, be able to observe the mind while realizing that which is passing through the mind is not necessarily you. You're the observer. You're the onlooker. You're the witness. You are the presence, an emanation of the presence that's never an absence. So through meditation and through sacred study and through right conversation, affirmation, going deep, you begin to reframe the mind so it's not just running amok. And when it is running amok, you're able to observe it without resisting or believing it. Because as I've said for over 40 years, the thoughts that are moving through your mind, you don't know where those thoughts came from. And just because they're in the mind, your mind doesn't make them true. So through the art and science of meditation, it's a great assistance. Secondly, you're not trying to figure out what to do in the world. Through meditation, sacred silence, stillness, you become available to inspired wisdom, transformational knowledge, creative intelligence, spontaneous goodness. It flows through you so that you're dealing with whatever you're dealing with on a moment by moment, need to know basis through inspired wisdom. If you try to figure something out, you're at the level of the issue. But if you step back and you listen, you get wisdom that then guides you into right action. You don't want to figure anything out. You want to catch the inspiration that then guides you into the moment by moment, right action. Now, the world itself is the condensation of thoughts, beliefs, and perception. It's the world of phenomena that you are describing. It's always changing. High interest rates, low interest rates, wars, rumors of wars. There's all manner of things going on in the world. But your joy and your happiness is not coming from that world. Your joy and your happiness, your peace, your prosperity, your ideal relationships are coming from you, inside of you. The love and the peace and harmony and abundance is intrinsic. It's a part of your matrix as a spiritual being. So as you begin to tap into that through spiritual practice, you're able to walk in the world, but you're of that which is innate to you that guides you into right action. What else does it do? It sends out a signal, or you emanate, you radiate the signal of love and of peace and of harmony, which what? Reveals into your life ideal friendships, reveals into your life ultimately perhaps the right relationship that's vibrating at the level that you are emanating, that you are radiating. So you're actually living vibrationally in the answer before it manifests. That's how manifestation works. You're not praying for a desired result. You're praying from a desired result. You see, this is all part of what is called spiritual work and inner healing. It's not for wimps. It's not a one-off. It's ultimately the way you live your life. This is why this podcast exists, to take back your mind from the fear, the doubt, and the worry that becomes contagious in the world. And so whether it is relationship, whether it is friendship, these are ships of transformation by which you get to perfect your loving. Whether it's financial worry, and though you can have magnificent economists and financial advisors that help you in real time how to deal with those things, ultimately there has to be a feeling tone within you that all of your needs are met. It's a feeling tone. And then what happens? Manifestation. You bring into your life an ideal financial consultant if necessary. You bring into your life true friendship. You bring into your life from the frequency that you're radiating, that begins to manifest. And of course, the classes we have here at Agape make these particular concepts become a way of life and take root in your awareness. And when they take root, you become an oasis in a desert of fear and doubt and worry and lack. Natasha, thank you for asking such a magnificent question. And that question that you asked is for everyone, because the world is phenomenal, but there is something about you that is nominal, untouched by time, timeless. Have a bright day. Today, I have with me Danielle LaPorte. I'll give you a little bit of information about her for those who may not know who she is. But listen, she's a member of Oprah's Super Soul 100, a group who, in Oprah's word, uniquely connecting the world together with spiritual energy that matters. Former director of the Future Studies think tank in Washington, D.C., where she managed a team creating global scenarios She now speaks about the intelligence of the heart. Her most recent book, which I have right here, by the way, and you can get this book, is How to Be Loving When Your Heart is Breaking Open and the World is Waking Up. It's also an audiobook, an ebook with a companion deck and journal. She's the author of the Firestarter Sessions, the Desire Map, White Hot Truth, and the producer of dozens of meditation kits and online programs for spiritual support. She's the creator of the Heart-Centered Membership and the Heart-Centered Leadership Program with 400 plus leaders in 30 countries, hosting conversation circles, retreats, and workshops in all kinds of communities and businesses. Her podcast, With Love, Danielle, often ranks in iTunes top 10 for wellness. Most of her offerings, from the Heart-Centered Membership to her online classes, are on a pay what you choose basis. Yep, that's what I said, pay what you choose basis. Named one of the top 100 websites for women by Forbes, millions of people a month visit DanielleLaPorte.com. And you can find her on social media at Danielle LaPorte. Danielle, plus she's a beautiful being. I love her. We're friends, we're colleagues. And when we speak about a heart-centered individual, you know, her countenance, her vibration, she comes up. And you're in Canada, right?
Yep, I'm in Vancouver.
Vancouver. I love Vancouver. And how are you, Danielle?
I am calm. I am grateful. I'm in the tension too of like creating, pushing something out.
Giving birth.
Yeah, I'm in that dance of like, I want this, but it's all good. This will be great, but it's great right now. I feel I get to talk about love every day. It's pretty amazing, really.
Wow.
A lot of judgments melting away from all the conversations I'm having. It's good for me.
That's fantastic. So you're choosing, I mean, I was reading your book yesterday, and I loved how you talked about, you know, moving from where you were with the desire map, and which is still very potent, very powerful, and very useful, and dealing with how you wanted to feel into the question, what do I want to embody? You know, walk us through that evolution.
How I want to feel, super useful question. Design your life, wake up to knowing that your feelings matter and they're a GPS system. Don't stop there. So most of my learning comes in relationships. I was in a rough place. I was hoping that anybody that called was calling to see how I was. And a friend called who was also in a rough place. We hadn't talked in years. And instead of me launching into, I'm in the dark night of my soul, I just listened to her. It's kind of like, she went first. And I just, I did my loving friendship way and realized that, hey, at the end of that call, it wasn't about being happy today, because I'm not happy today. I'm in agony, but I still felt connected to source. I still felt on purpose. I still actually, in my agony, was aware of this foundation of joy. And I decided I wanted to be that joy. I want to be that love, no matter what. And like, this was like epiphanic for me.
It's powerful.
It's not about the strive.
Yeah.
And that's what a heart-centered life is. Like, you're not going to get thrown out by your bad mood, by happiness because you got it, by happiness because you didn't get it. You are going to embody. And it's not, it's a question that like it's in my psyche now, but it's always like, is this text love? Is this meal love? Is my tone love right now? Or is it something that's not love? Yeah. So embodiment.
Yeah. Well, you're speaking to a real powerful issue, because the average person gets thrown off by circumstances. And then they start to identify with whatever it is, the sadness or the upsetness because something didn't go right. And I appreciate what you're saying in terms of you were going through a bad day, or you were going through a bad patch or a bad period, but that did not necessarily keep you from growing. Matter of fact, it made you grow faster probably, and it didn't keep you from the intrinsic joy that's within you. Now that's to me, I like to teach along those lines, but that's approaching kind of a mastership to a degree, because the average person, it's very difficult for them to live like that. Their whole life seems to be determined by external circumstances. If they're going right, woo, they're happy. If they're not going right, then the whole world is caving in. You're offering a different thing. You're saying, yeah, there's going to be days like that. Mama said there'd be days like that, But, and even if there are days like that, there's something else that's always alive within us.
That you are able to love no matter what.
Yes.
Like, even if it's all being taken, you can be kind to the guy in the cafe. You were able to love no matter what, which is to say, you were able to get home no matter what. Your eternal self is eternal. You can tap it any old time. Then that's where the sweetness is. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And something else I like your wording in your book too, where you talked about the fact that you can't really close your heart.
No.
That the heart is always open, even though there might be clouds, there might be something there that seems to be covering it up. So you're aligning the word heart with your essential being.
Yes.
Basically.
Yes.
Now I think that's powerful.
It's the mind that says, I'm not worthy, you're worthy, superior, inferior, right, wrong. It's the mind that's saying, here's all the reasons you should let them in. Here's all the reasons you shouldn't let them in. But if you just stop with the chatter, take back your mind, you realize the default is always openness. Like, really, how to be loving is about forgiving. I think we incarnate in order to forgive. And that it's the default. And there have been times in my life where I see how, and I take full responsibility, I let myself get talked out of just letting it go, just being forgiving. I wanted, it's okay, we can all move on. But there was a contract, or there was, here comes the word, the obsession with accountability. Everybody got to be held accountable. It's like, why?
We don't have to hold a person accountable.
Yeah.
That's
exactly.
between them and their soul.
I agree. You don't have to worry about somebody else's karma. Take it off of your to-do list.
Right.
Their soul is going to help them get everything back into balance, not your job. Right. Move on. Yeah. So I think, I was just walking in the woods with a friend. She's in a relationship bind. And I said, but yeah, don't you kind of want to just forgive? And you can see her whole body just relax, like, oh yeah, actually I totally want to just be so sweet. And then the head comes in. Yeah, but they signed this. And okay, here, we're back. And the mind is back.
Yeah. Right. It's been hijacked.
Yeah.
It's been hijacked. No, this is extremely important. So basically, when you're in that space where the head is taken over and the mind's been hijacked, no, I don't really want to forgive because they need to be held accountable. Then you're actually locking yourself in that prison with the person. You're in the prison yourself, rather than, as you're saying, it's okay to let go. My kids like to say, everybody's going to get what they deserve anyway. Yeah. So why do we have to try to make them get what they deserve based on our perception of what they did or did not do? We don't know everybody's backstory.
Yeah. And even with that, everybody's going to get what they deserve. The soul's going to bring it into balance. But I think there's an opportunity there to even in the letting go, because I've done this in the past, I'm going to be the bigger person. I'm going to let it go. I'm going to forgive. But there was still this little hook underneath of you're going to get it.
Yeah. Yep. I know.
And now I'm more into mercy, and how I define mercy is, I hope you don't get what's coming to you. I hope that your soul is easy on you. I hope, even if I had to work 10 years or pay all this or go through some kind of initiation to get this, I hope it's not that hard for you.
Right. I understand that. A couple of years ago, something happened, and I found myself, forgiving and doing all the stuff for this individual. And then I found myself in meditation one day. I was praying for people that I pray for in my life and this and that, just kind of holding space. And then they popped up, and this big bubble of love and desire for their good just immersed them. And they were not merciful with me at all. They were very negative towards me. And I watched that happen. I've actually watched this bubble go, and just bless them. And it just made me become a part of that bubble and say, yeah, why not? Why not? And now they're a part of my crew that I hold in this big bubble of love. You know, it's just because I don't want to be toxic in any way. I don't want toxic energy. I want the love energy. So I'm not even concerned about what they're saying or doing, positive or negative. It's just a bubble of love for them. And so I understand exactly what you're talking about. But for me,
the heart is saying, why not?
Yeah, it just happened. Just like,
yeah,
you know. And I said, yeah, okay, I'm going with the heart.
Yeah.
I'm going with this energy.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah. And I think that, you know, and in the title of your book, you have, as your heart is breaking open and our world is waking up. I mean, those are two very powerful sentences. As the heart is breaking open. So there's all kinds of stuff going on in the world. I mean, there's calamity, there's wars, rumors of wars. There's a whole society and revolution in Iran, women waking up and standing in proxy for all women that's been oppressed for hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years. There's, you know, there's a whole lot that's happening that can break a person's heart. Yeah. You know, open. And you're saying your heart is breaking open while the world is waking up. Unpack that for a moment.
You're sick. The virus, the illness got to work its way through your system. You probably feel a little bit worse before you feel better. It's got to happen. The fever's got to come to the surface. That conversation you don't want to have, that uncomfortable thing, the courage that you have to bring, oof, the tight, got to do it. And I think that's what's happening globally. The colonic, the detox got to happen. We're in like a global colonic right now.
A detoxification moment.
Yeah. It's got to come up so that it can be loved. Yes. Everything wants to be in balance. Like it all wants to come home. The pain in my body wants to come home. My ego, all my ridiculous opinions, they just want attention. Just come back to love. All of I think the tyrants, they want to come back into balance. They may not know they want to come back into balance, but the soul is going to push it. I've also been thinking a lot lately about the people who sign up to be the bad guy in the story. And that, you know, if you just, you know, if it's truth, it's got to apply across the board.
Yep.
So if it's all God, then what about the tyrants?
Yep.
Maybe this is a metaphor I've come up with. I think we can get down with the concept. You know, we hear this is Maya, this is a dream. That's a big one. I'd be like, what do you mean it's a dream? I really feel the agony, you know, but okay. All right. So it's like the moments of the love and the joy and the meditative sweetness, the euphoria, that's the real reality. That's what's behind the veil. Okay. So now we're on the other side of the curtain. We're playing these roles. I wonder if it's just like a movie where there's an actor who signs up to play the bad guy in the film, but he goes home and he's a nice guy.
Crisis actors.
Yeah. Now that's a different thing. And that's
I know it's a different thing, but you know, I'm just
we'll talk later. But like any tyrant, I'm not going to name names. Maybe before we all get here, they say, okay.
I'll do this. I'm
going to do the bad guy so that you can all see the hate. And I'm just going to let you project all this stuff onto me. But here's where it gets really trippy. That actor on the global stage still has to incur that karma.
Yeah.
Right? It's like, I'm going to take the hit and I'm going to take the lifetimes or whatever it takes to burn the karma.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I used to call them evolutionary triggers. You know, somebody flew me in somewhere. community was having a really hard time with our election. And
Mm-hmm.
I had to frame it that, as you're just saying, that sometimes people are evolutionary triggers. They're actually assisting our evolution
Mm-hmm.
to make visible what's been hiding under the rug. There
Mm-hmm.
used to be a time, where a politician, let's say, could lie and you wouldn't find out about it for 5 years. Now you find out about it immediately, or they don't even hide it. It's like things that used to be invisible are now visible. Things are quickening.
Mm-hmm.
And so exactly as you're saying, some people sign up for that role to quicken humanity. There are tragedies and things that have happened on the planet for the last 100, 200 years that propelled the world community to say, this can't ever happen again.
Mm-hmm.
We're not going to have child workers. We're not going to do this. We're not going to do that. But somebody had to play the role of bringing that into visibility.
I've seen you talk about the word apocalyptic.
Yeah.
Can you talk about that for a second?
Well,
Apocalypse means.
Yeah, the apocalypse. One of the meanings of apocalypse is making the invisible visible.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
At a time that we're living in right now, where things that used to be hidden, when you talk about, for instance, the George Floyd situation that happened,
Mm-hmm.
things became visible to people that would say, "You mean this kind of stuff has been going on for a while?" Yes, it has.
Mm-hmm.
Really, Dr. Beckwith, did you ever experience this kind of bigotry? Yes. Yes. It woke a lot of people up. That which was invisible for many became visible, so that movement and consciousness can take place. Now, Ram Dass used to have a practice that he would do, and he would put the quote unquote bad guys on the world scene on his altar.
Yes.
He'd have Jesus, he'd have Kuan Yin, he'd have Buddha, he had the basics, but then whoever was being the most maniacal person at the time, he'd put him right in the middle, so that when he went into meditation, he didn't leave that person out or close his heart to that being that was playing that role at that particular time. And I took that on at that time, it's like, okay, these people, obviously, God doesn't make any mistakes. So everyone has this presence within them. Let me see it,
Mm-hmm.
let me ask to see this person the way God sees them, and that becomes a practice. It's everything that you're talking about, forgiveness and, perfecting our loving here on the planet, which is so necessary at this time, because, what you're talking about, and this book is really good. Like I said, I started reading it yesterday. It's timely, particularly during a time of polarization. It's timely because people are afraid. It's timely because people are building barriers around their heart to protect themselves. It's instinctual for safety. And you're bringing people basically back to how we are to live perennially. If we really want the beloved community, we have to come back to love,
Mm-hmm.
and not just as a concept.
Not just as a concept. I think everybody knows it's a game changer.
Yeah.
But we just keep it at home.
Yeah.
I'm not even going to use all this
like
language at work.
Yeah.
Or this has no place in corporate structure. No. This is where, we have to radiate what we know to be true and bring it everywhere we go. So like, how are we going to use it to vote? How are we going to use it to create new communities and stop stop keeping it tucked away?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think, things, qualities like love, qualities like peace, we're seeking to make them sexy again. It's like people have really gotten into like a definition of strength being something else. I'm going to overpower somebody, or I'm going to win at all costs.
I'm going to crush it. I'm going to slay it. I'm going to hack it.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And so we have to bring back this yielding, this surrendering, this allowing, this loving, this sharing, this kindness, this compassion. And what we know is that it's actually more powerful than all of the other ways and mechanizations that people have lived by for years. It's way more powerful, but you don't know it if you don't try it, you know.
I think there's two words in there, and I would add one word, and I would add one: receptivity
Yeah,
and gentleness.
yeah, yeah. I like
And
this intention. Yeah.
it's like, and I choose gentleness over tenderness. So it's like I'm not tender in that I've been tenderized and I feel raw, emotionally raw about things. It's that gentleness is a choice. I mean, one thing I feel about how to be loving is that it's counterculture because the message is gentle, and gentleness will mess with the ego. Like, it is so counterintuitive, it is so confusing. The ego mind is going to say, I don't have to dominate this, I don't have to crush my fears, I don't have to push against the opposition, I don't have to be on the no. You be gentle, you walk through the room gentle, and you just watch people melt. It's the real power. And I noticed when I started to see it in myself, I noticed how it was a quality with all of my favorite teachers. That there was, the masters melting all the dualism, but they weren't, they could still be strong, get on the pulpit, but just a softer way. And it's commanding. Yeah.
Yeah, I love it. I remember a number of years ago when I was attending Morehouse College, and the guest speaker was Dr. Howard Thurman.
Oh, yeah.
And it was my first meeting of him. I was 18, and he came to the pulpit and he spoke, and very deliberately, very powerfully. But I'll always remember as he was walking down the aisle to leave, he was kind of just looking in the distance, like far away, kind of. But I could feel this energy coming off of him. I could feel this, it was like a powerful gentleness. It's just so beautiful. And I was 18. I didn't know what it was, but I knew it was something, but I couldn't define it. And then later on, I met him personally. Then later on, I met the teachings, and later on, he became, an inner mentor for me. But he carried that, what you're describing, it's like a dynamic of strength, but gentle, because he was not a wimp. You know what I mean? He was not a coward. He dealt with the issues. He had a way of dealing with the hardest stuff in life. But at the same time, not to let your loving.
You have to be so spacious to be gentle.
Yeah.
Like, there's kind of this stealthness to it. Like, you see what's coming at you. It's very kind of Neo in the Matrix. It's like you see the attack, you see the opposition, you see the ignorance, and you're just, I'm aware, I'm alert, and I'm going to bring this to it.
Right.
That takes some real spiritual skill.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
some real spiritual jujitsu.
Yeah. It's not a spiritual bypass.
Right.
It's not a weakness at all. It's gentleness is stealth.
Yeah.
In a way. Yeah.
I like that, because I like what you're saying. It's not a bypass. You're not denying that you don't like certain things. You're not denying that you would prefer something to be a different way. There's no, you're not denying that, but you're not allowing whatever that is to determine, to close your heart, not to close your heart, but to be caught up in the clouds. You can shift a little bit. Oh, the sun is still shining. There's some clouds here. I'm not going to deny there's some clouds. There's some clouds.
Yes.
It's raining.
And you think about all the choices you have to make internally to choose gentleness.
Yeah.
It's like the opposition, I could fight back. This is family of origin stuff. I got triggered if I said this. It's like in split seconds, you can see all the different strategies and you go, oh, this is the best one. And it's inclusive. It's the most powerful. It's going to create the least amount of friction. Oh, power. So good. Yeah.
And it's basically the only way that that we're actually going to build a kind and just global society. We have to
Yeah.
actually be that energy.
Yeah.
You know, I
Yeah.
was thinking about Americans. I don't know if you're finding this in Canada, but I was thinking about the fact that Americans now see other Americans as their enemy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like the polarization. They actually see another American. They're the enemy. Whereas before, the enemy was a made up enemy outside the borders. You know what I mean? Oh,
Mm-hmm.
this person over there in that country, they're enemies. You know, the people born over there are enemies. This megalomaniac over there is enemy. But now,
Now
the
it's your mother-in-law.
yeah, it's like they're the enemies. You know,
Mm-hmm.
and at some point, we have to, like, as you're speaking of, become spacious enough to see, no, this is no enemies. That's all where our mind has been hijacked and then
Mm-hmm.
taken over by the emotionality of the moment,
Mm-hmm.
and have enough sense to stop, breathe, back up for a moment. Is this person really my enemy?
Mm-hmm.
Do I even know this person?
I think the darkness, the agenda right now of, to say the collective darkness, which we all have within us individually, is just everything is becoming a boxing match. Like, here's an issue. I was amazed to see all the division around the Queen's death. I mean, I have my opinions
Yeah, yeah.
about the royal family, but it's like
Right.
that just became like the next thing.
Yeah.
And now there's the next thing. And it's really just pick a side. And then all these associations that get laid on you if you pick this particular side. It's like, if you're that, then you're all these other things.
I
Like, there's
know.
no nuance, no one's a kaleidoscope. No, it's amazing just how sharp it is right now.
It is.
Yeah.
And in the mix of this, you're telling people this is how to be loving. That's what
Yeah.
I'm saying. This is I would say courageous, but I think it's more, this is what is yours to do right now. This is like, you
Mm-hmm.
cannot not do this because you had the insight of moving from what do I want to feel to what I want to embody.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, you cannot not do this. It's like
Yes.
when I tried not to build agape, I mean, I resisted it. I
Mm-hmm.
named the community love, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And I did not want to do it. Human, I didn't. So I want my weekends free. I don't want to do all this. You know what I mean? I do a seminar here and there and see private clients, but the community, no, no, no. And of course, the higher self one, I did it, and everything around love comes up. We had everything come up, and we just worked through it as practitioners and as a community. But you know, you could not do this. You could not do this,
Mm-hmm.
particularly at a time where what we're describing in terms of the intense polarization and the boxing match is necessary.
My analogy to you not wanting to do agape is, I didn't want to be here or happy. I mean, it wasn't like I'm not in a suicidal way, but it's like I finally dissolved that struggle in myself of, was I going to be holy or was I going to be human? Right?
Oh yeah, yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
And I
like
decided, like, wait a second, I can't be on this path about love and wakefulness and not be a joyful person.
Yeah.
And I was like, wait. It's like I feel swept away. My practices finally started to work. Like, like the meditation paid off and I'm actually happy. Most of the time I'm
Yeah.
deeply joyful. It's like,
Yes.
oh my God, it works.
Yes, but I'm glad you're saying that. I want you to say that, because I try to tell people that you can be happy most of the time. You really can. This is not like a pie in the sky kind of thing for special people. You know what I mean?
And the warriorship that, it's a term that so gets thrown around in our space. The warriorship is to be in your joy, even as your heart is breaking open and the world is falling apart. And I have committed, and it's really been in these last couple of years, I've let a lot of stuff go. I questioned, do I want to be here, career, love, all of it, sold my house, all of the stuff. Mm-hmm. And I'm just like, I know what my warriorship is. I want to be the antidote. And I've always wanted to be that. I mean, I remember as a little girl, I was obsessed with the prayer of Saint Francis,
Mm,
where there's hatred, let me sow love.
mhm, mhm,
So I got to be that. And I've used that, like my design to always be counter, which, in my 20s and 30s didn't always go good. It's like, I'm going to be bold. I'm going to be brazen. I'm going to be the pushback. And
mhm,
now it's like, I'm going to use that flex and I'm going to be compassionate and
mm,
I'm going to be joy.
mhm,
So that I think, life has prepared me to walk this way right now with everything else falling apart. I had my fall apart.
mhm,
I've had my training or enough
mhm,
for this next passage, I hope,
mhm,
so that if you're falling apart, I can be a refuge.
mhm.
Yeah.
But even the desire and the willingness to be a refuge is big. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
that's an extension of the heart, and you know, it's also a way, not for where you're concerned necessarily, but it's also a way out for people that are stuck and stagnated. If they ask the question, how can I be of service? How can I embody greater love? The universe will answer that question and put something in front of them that will then take that
Mm-hmm.
stagnant energy and transmute it into love or kindness or compassion or generosity or whatever the case may be. But that means, and here's another word, boundary. There's good boundaries that
Mm-hmm.
we have to develop, and then there's boundaries that are preventing us
Mm-hmm.
from actually seeing that we're together, we're one.
Mm-hmm.
And I know
Mm-hmm.
you cover that a little bit.
I think boundaries essential, necessary, but they are developmental.
Mm-hmm.
You cannot stop at just boundaries defining your life. Lots of great work out there. Like, wake up and realize you get to train people on how they're going to treat you,
Mm-hmm.
and you are creating conditions of healing for your life. Cool. Have some boundaries. And then what I think you should do is get rid of them. I think
Mm-hmm.
you should dissolve the majority of them. Because if you are walking through life with a script that all this works for you and all this does not work for you, where are they going to get you? I mean, I
Right.
talk, a lot of this, my thinking on this is inspired by this conversation you and I had years ago
Mm-hmm.
about unbotherability.
Yes.
Yes. And that is it. Like, unbotherability is not about being a pushover. It's about knowing that you are so massive. Your
Yes.
capacity for love is so unlimited that if someone treats you a little bit like shit, you can see one day, like, they still haven't healed their stuff. I got room for it. I got time for it. I got patience for this. That's how I am so awesome. I can be patient with this racket again. That's
Yeah.
that's it. It's not the boundary move. It's the spacious move.
Spaciousness move, right? I
Yeah.
think about the fact I was it's just a couple of days ago, I was actually hearing myself talk to myself in a dream.
Mm-mm.
And the conversation was dealing with the fact that we have to be loose with our opinions and points of view because it's all fluid. I mean, you can think back historically, things were like just black and white. They were like, this was right, this was wrong. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah,
gay
yeah.
people needed to be cured. Black and white people couldn't be together. There were certain things that were just, that's the way, you know, but that was just, as things become more fluid, that's not something to hold. That wasn't a truth. That
Mhm.
was just an opinion that people were holding so strongly about, only to see the world evolve. And that's not even true anymore. So I was asking myself, what is it that you're holding now that you think is true? An opinion that
Mhm.
5 years from now, you're going to discover, oh, you were holding something too tightly. So I woke up in that conversation with myself. What are you holding? And so I've been in this inquiry, like, okay, what am I, you know, heaven bent on thinking that this is real, only to discover that it's just a staircase.
You come up with an answer?
Yeah, nothing yet. But I'm in the inquiry. It's like I want to. For me, it's more like just be fluid, just be in love. Just be.
I have one.
Mhm.
I know what I've been holding on that I thought was so spiritual and enlightened was that everybody better be working to save the world.
That's interesting.
And I just thought, well, what if that comes from the ego?
Mhm.
Because a lot of us knock ourselves out and burn out our adrenals and ruin our relationships on this path to like save the world.
Right.
And then that collides with, well, I know that the best thing I can do for humanity is to heal myself, clean up my stuff. I speak more gently. I'm less of a burden, even on the healthcare system. I'm just better to be around. I'm more useful. So that combined with like, hey, maybe it's this ego racket that we should all be a little bit martyrous. Yeah.
Yeah. I used to think that it was a small little thought that everybody should, in order to save the world, there's certain things they had to do. And
Yeah.
they, now it's like, I don't have that anymore. It's like people have to do them. And what they're doing could be just as important as what I'm doing. It doesn't have to look like what I'm doing, or a practitioner or a so-called spiritual looking person. They could be at home knitting,
Yeah. Yeah.
gardening,
Yeah.
playing some jazz, and emitting such a powerful vibration that no one ever knows about them. They're not famous,
Yeah.
but they're doing tremendous work to bring peace on the planet.
Yes. Even trickier.
Yeah.
They could be in a really dark community culture circumstance, and they could be the light in that circumstance. Like, my partner's family all came from meat packing factories.
Mm.
And I just, I had so much joy. When we first met, I was a vegan,
Uh-huh.
and I just like, and I'm just like, oh, what if they brought the light to the
There.
meat packing factory? And that was their bodhisattvaness.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Like certain, I know of a person, he doesn't do this anymore, he's retired, but he was a guard at a prison.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
he had to learn how to act like a guard in order to be in tune with the guards that were around him. But he learned how to have his heart open for the beings that were imprisoned. So he had to learn how, this walk, because if he acted too kind, he'd be ostracized by his colleagues. And he didn't want to be taken advantage of by those that were temporarily incarcerated. So he learned this. He learned to walk, how to walk a certain way, but to be a different way, to be the light in this place. And he assisted a lot of people. He assisted a lot of people that were guards, and he assisted a lot of people that were in prison to actually become more spacious, and he tells me stories about that, and in terms of, he would be the one that if a riot broke out, he could actually walk in there and not be bothered by the prisoners, because they just knew something, that this guy was different, even though he was walking as a guard. He had all the outer stuff. So yeah, that's absolutely true. A person could be in the darkness but be the light.
Isn't that, I hear that story of him, and I just think that could be not that you measure this stuff, but a lot of us who sit on the cushion measure this stuff, right? It's like that could be the equivalent of lifetimes of meditation.
Yeah.
Being able to walk in that space. Yeah. And also he needs a book deal. Yeah.
Yeah, he's getting ready to move to, is he moving to Atlanta or DC? He's moving somewhere where his daughter lives. And I did say, so you should write down these stories, because there's a lot of information there. But the other thing about him, he doesn't necessarily see himself as a spiritual being. You know what I mean? He would come to Agape. He would always bring his girlfriend, his next girlfriend, to Agape.
Yeah.
I know him. He's a friend of mine. This is what I believe.
Yeah, you got game if you go into Agape.
Yeah, right. That was his thing, So break down a little bit, how do you view, as it evolved, how do you view the emotions, the feelings, what's your language around that?
Not into them. Feelings are overrated. That's where I'm at. I feel that, of course, part of the human experience, honor your feelings, but guess what? You're not your feelings. And I am more interested in virtue. And I really,
I like that.
Just in terms of like, I want to bring the sexy back to virtue because it's
Mhm.
been hijacked by religion.
Yes. Oh,
And
God, yes.
how I look at it is, love is not a feeling, it's not an emotion. Emotions come and go. Love is the eternal stuff, immovable, the beloved fabric, always there. So then if you're loving someone, what are you doing? You're being home.
Hmm.
And I think what happens, the visual I always have is like, there is this great sphere of light above me. I think it's my soul. I
Hmm.
think it is divine love.
Hmm.
And my job is to just keep standing underneath it,
Hmm.
understanding,
Hmm.
and that um, all of the rays that come out of divine love are the various virtues. So, like compassion is the daughter of love, and
Hmm.
forgiving is the daughter, et cetera, et cetera. And
Hmm.
um, I want to be virtuous. I want
Hmm.
to do all the work to make more space in my being, whether that's just decluttering my mind and doing the contemplation and the meditation, or it's decluttering my living space, or it's forgiving someone, getting that grievance off my plate so that the light can come in.
Hmm.
And I want to embody all the virtues I can possibly embody this lifetime. I'm just going to focus on a couple.
Hmm.
There's some I'm really weak in, at some atrophied
Hmm.
muscles.
Hmm.
Others come more naturally.
Hmm. I like the word embody. I've always liked that word.
Mm.
So we're not, because not airy fairy. We're not nitty gritty. We
Mhm.
say we're airy gritty. You know,
Yeah.
we have we have a, you know, we want to hold the virtue, but we want it to be embodied. I mean, I used to say, um, we don't want to be ascended masters. We want to be descended masters. We actually
Yeah.
want to bring all that you're talking about in. We want to embody. We want it to be in form. We want to actually walk with it and be the frequency of that. And I appreciate,
And the consistency of that.
yeah, this as best we can.
Yeah.
And I appreciate what you're saying. I often taught that I always separated emotions from feelings. I would say that the
Mm-hmm.
emotions were the byproduct of thoughts and perception and beliefs, and then they become emotional content, you know, and the feeling was our contact with the presence, the love, the peace, and the conscious awareness of the presence. So I always separated emotion from feeling. So, so,
Mm-hmm.
so, and in our world, maybe I'm splitting hairs here. People use them synonymously, you know.
Mm-hmm.
We say now, oh, she's into her feelings, things like that, you know. But I would say, basically into their emotions. It has a lot of energy behind it, but a feeling is different. But I agree with, the emotions can give us insight into our beliefs and our perceptions and our chronic points of view, so that we can dissect them to a degree and see the lies that are being told so we can come back to our real nature. Yeah.
I think the emotions are in the basement,
Yeah.
that those emotions come from the unconscious self. And
Mm-hmm.
that's a bit of a pill to swallow,
Mm-hmm.
because if that's true, then you have to consider that your anger is coming from your unconscious self. Mm-hmm.
Triggers.
Your happiness is coming from your unconscious self. Mm-hmm. And that, I mean, speaking of being hijacked,
Mm-hmm.
we are indoctrinated into what anger should look like and why we should be angry, and what happiness should look like and why we should be happy.
Mm-hmm.
And it's, yeah. Um, Whereas if you set your sights on virtue, I just want to be that higher frequency.
And that includes joy.
That includes joy.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Um, it doesn't matter so much how you feel. You're still going to feel. You're going to have 9 gazillion feelings a
I
day.
love this. I love this. I love this. What you're saying right now. This is really good stuff. Keep going.
And it's not detached, and it's not a spiritual bypass. It's that
Yes.
you are you're the master of it, and you get to hold all those emotions with love. So it's not like being angry is bad or being happy is unevolved. And I have thought all of those things. I have thought that my own pleasure in this dimension was not enlightened.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, wait. Why do I want to pursue that pleasure? Is it
Mm-hmm.
from an ego place? Is it from a unhealed place? Is it from a healed place? So there's that question to ask.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Purposefulness, and guess what? Fulfillment is
Mm-hmm.
not predicated on being in a good mood.
Yes, I love this. Yeah, because the mood is the cloud.
The mood is the cloud and you are the
The cloud.
sky.
Yeah, and you're the sky. Yeah.
Yeah,
So the attention goes more and more to the sky, but you're not denying the cloud.
that's right. I got room for the
You
cloud.
still do what
Just
you get to
like
do.
I don't want to try and pin down clouds anymore
Mm-hmm.
and come up with a list
Mm-hmm.
about why your opinions are inclusive or not. I got room. I got room now.
Mm-hmm. You've covered a lot of material, Danielle.
We have light speed.
Let me ask you this: how to be loving as your heart is breaking open and our world is waking up? What have we not covered that you would want to allow for all these beings to feel about you or about the offering you're giving to the world right now?
People are reading it and saying, I thought this was a book about how to have a better relationship. And that's not what it's about. That is correct. It's about reverence. And when you are reverent with your stuff, it'll change how you relate to the world. So I always go into you can be in tolerance with your shadow stuff. Anybody right now listening, you think about all that stuff you're ashamed of, you've been pushing it away, you don't
Mm-hmm.
want anybody to know about it. You're in therapy because of it.
Mm-hmm.
You can say, okay, I got to put up with this. It's going to come again here and there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. It's better than intolerance. You can move into acceptance, which is you actually embrace what you've been pushing away. You hug it.
Mm-hmm.
That's amazing. I want to go even further to reverence. I love reverence is my favorite word right now. It's wonder and respect tinged with awe.
I love that.
Isn't
Yeah,
that great?
it's
So
beautiful.
I've started this practice where my most
Wonder
painful
and
things,
wonder and what wonder
respect
and respect tinged with awe.
tinged with awe.
Mm-hmm.
So I started this practice where the worst parts of myself and the things I've done that I feel embarrassed by,
Mm-hmm.
I actually have to practice reverence. Like,
Mm-hmm.
wow, how can I be in awe of that? Like, wow, look at how that ripped through my life. Look at that was so powerful. And doubt, every time you come up, you remind me to double down on faith. That's
Yes.
pretty amazing. Like, doubt is pretty powerful. Okay.
Ooh.
And I've worked on that I had a chronic physical ailment last year and I decided to be reverent with it and to
Mm-hmm.
go the distance where it wasn't like, okay, we all know. I mean, anybody listening to the Beckwith podcast knows like it's all the pain is coming with a message. We get that. But I made what I considered a power move now. And I said, well, I know there's a gift. And if you come back tomorrow, I'm going to still listen.
Mm-hmm.
And that was it. Like, I want to be loved unconditionally. I need to love my own babies, my
Mm-hmm.
own pain babies, my own ego babies,
Mm-hmm.
my own ego, my opinion babies
Mm-hmm.
unconditionally. I will be here tomorrow and
Mm-hmm.
I'll be friendly.
Yeah, and what you're describing is going back to the word spaciousness again.
Mm.
Because in order to love those pain babies, you're rocking them, you're holding them, you're embracing them,
Mm.
which means you have enough space to do so. So you're bigger than they are energetically. I like the word reverence too. I would often say to people, it's not about being serious, it's about being reverential. Because in this vast sea, this cosmic sea, there's nothing serious going on. There's no death, there's no loss. I mean, even though we play our parts in the human condition of polarity and things like that, but there's nothing serious happening. But there's a lot of, but we're to bring, as you're talking about now, reverence to all the stuff that's happening. It
Mm-hmm.
definitely makes you more spacious.
Mm-hmm.
And I've become more spacious just hanging out with you this afternoon.
Oh, so good. Whenever we hang, my heart just it has that ache. It's so good. I love it. I love it.
I know it's
Yeah, I
beautiful.
love you.
I'm going to be
Mm,
speaking with Danielle today. This is going to be really good.
it's medicine. Yeah.
and,
Thank you.
and and everyone, you need to get the book because
Please.
just from the introduction through, I mean, you're not even going to get through the first 5 pages without tremendous insights. It's beautiful. It's well written, and there's a good endorsement by a guy named Reverend Michael Beckwith.
Yeah. Yeah, I got the Beckwith nod. Yeah. Yeah.
So Danielle, thank you for being with me this afternoon.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
Absolutely appreciate your presence and the book, How to Be Loving. And I like the part as your heart is breaking open and our world is waking up.
Up.
It's a good read. It's a good read. I'll talk to you soon. Peace and blessings, everyone. And obviously, you're with Taking Back Your Mind. And now, allowing yourself to realize your heart is always open. And you're focusing on that openness and spaciousness, not denying the clouds, but holding yourself available for virtues and reverence. God bless you all. Blessings and peace to you. This is our time in the Take Back Your Mind podcast, where we have a few moments of meditation. I define meditation as paying undistractable attention to that which is real, eternal, and timeless. That nanosecond of seeing reality is meditation. And then there's the process of meditating in order to get to that moment. So today we're going to have a meditation that's kind of sparked in my conversation with Danielle LaPorte. So I invite you for a moment to just stop, come to a complete stop and close your eyes. And release all thoughts about where you are going or what you're going to do when this meditation is over. Release all thoughts about where you have come from. The future is your imagination, so we're letting that go. The past is oftentimes a misinterpretation of facts. So we're going to be right here, right now. You turn within and allow your breathing to be normal. Just let the body breathe as you're coming more and more in alignment with right where you are is the presence of God. Not the guy in the sky, but the presence that is never in absence. Now I want you to think about an infant, perhaps an infant, a little baby that's in your family somewhere, or a baby that you've known or know about. And I want you to allow your attention to embrace a deep sense of love, protectiveness, kindness toward this infant, and all of the other feeling tones that the infant may bring to you. It's silently cooing and smiling, and it's bringing out within you a deep feeling tone of love, compassion, kindness, generosity of the heart. And allow every breath that you take to more expand this feeling tone. If this baby, maybe it's a baby in your family, a baby that a friend has, or maybe you interacted with any time in your life, just remember the sense of awe and the sense of innocence and love and kindness that exuded from you by being in contact with an infant with somewhat of a clean slate. Take a deep inhalation. Release. Again. Release. Receive another breath. Sustain it at the apex. Just hold that breath right there. And let this feeling tone of love, compassion, kindness, innocence become stronger and stronger as you're sustaining this breath. Now release the sound of ah, ah. Now as you're witnessing this baby, notice how spacious you are, how expanded. Now I want you to place where the baby is, I want you to place yourself there now. See yourself where the baby was. But maintain the feeling tone of love, innocence, kindness, and compassion. So that you're allowing yourself to see yourself through the eyes of love, kindness, compassion, innocence. Undoing thought patterns of moroseness, unworthiness, fear, clutter of the mind, false boundaries. As you look at yourself through the eyes of seeing a child and through the eyes of a child, the spaciousness of innocence, kindness, love, and compassion grows in you. You're a blessing to yourself right now. Feel into that. Now as you exchange yourself, place planet Earth there. So as you consider planet Earth, maybe you remember what Earth looked like as the astronauts sent its first picture back to us when they circled the globe. And we can see this one planet that was primarily water, a blue pearl in the sky. Where the baby was, where you were, now the Earth is there. And all sentient beings, all species, all life forms, the rainforests, the lakes, the rivers, the oceans. You're holding it in a pristine, loving, kind, compassionate state of innocence. You're blessing the earth. The earth is free. Just go a little deeper. Replace the earth with someone who you might consider being a bad person. Maybe it's a politician masquerading as a statesman or a stateswoman. Maybe it's an individual that's defiling the earth, destroying the rainforest, polluting the oceans. Or someone who's doing a heinous crime against humanity or against an individual. Put them right there where the baby was. Become spacious enough to feel the innocence, your kindness, compassion, and as Danielle reminded us, reverence. You're being tasked to see this. worst, vile person you can think about. The earth plane that we're living on, yourself, allowing an infant and the love of an infant to carry you to that feeling tone. Now remove the seeming vile individual and place yourself back on the reverential throne of your attention. As you're having compassion, kindness, love, and innocence for yourself, self-love is blooming. And with self-love and appreciation, obstacles that are projected by your mind are dissolving. You now see ways out of no ways. Feel this. We give thanks for this. Feel grateful for reverential seeing, not trying to set things right, but to see them rightly. Yourself, the baby, planet, so-called evil individual, seeing them rightly, becoming spacious enough to make a vibrational difference on this planet. Feel it in your bones. With a slight smile on your face, as you have a reverential alertness towards that which is real and eternal. We give thanks for this and we allow it to be so. So it is. So you slowly open your eyes. Feel that you matter, that you're all right, and walk through the day with that awareness. Have a bright day. Your time is very valuable, so I want to thank you for lending us your ear and participating in taking back your mind. If you want to submit a question for the question of the week, please submit it to podcast@michaelbeckwith.com. If you've enjoyed what you've heard today, please submit a review and let us know your thoughts. Stay on top of current episodes by subscribing to the podcast so that you'll receive alerts and not miss one single episode. And feel free to share this podcast with all of your friends and family. And until we meet again, take back your mind, and you will take back your life. Peace and blessings.